let's now take the next question. Now, how is this surveillance happening? Let's understand. There is one that was brought down yesterday, the MQ-9 Reaper. We've got a picture, we've got a visual, and this is the MQ-9 Reaper. What is the speciality of this MQ-9 Reaper, and why is it that the Israelis were so happy they brought one down? This is seen on the skies over Iran. Yeah.
Well, it has a stealthy shape, as you can see. It is made to reflect radar signals in all different directions, just not back to the antenna.
Yeah.
So therefore, it is supposed to operate relatively close to its potential targets, very high, very slow. It has a long endurance. It can remain airborne up to 27 hours, yes. Or if equipped with fuel tanks, up to 34 hours, sorry. And additionally, it can be armed with small guided ammunition.
How high can it, send pictures from how high above the ground?
It is usually flying at between depends on the mission, between 6,000 and 12,000 meters.
6,000 and 12,000 meters.
Yes.
So if I say 12,000, so that's about 36,000 to 40,000 feet?
Something like this, yes.
Yeah.
So what is the point about it? It enables monitoring or surveillance of an area over extended period of time, which is particularly important for such cases like when Israelis are trying to assassinate one or another president or supreme leader or prime minister or Hezbollah leader. Why? Because in this fashion, they can constantly monitor their movements, even over months, of course, by successful UAVs, by successful drones.
They used this in Afghanistan also, didn't they?
The Americans have used this in Afghanistan, yes. The Israelis have a little bit different models. They are using them in Israel, in Syria, in Iran, in Iraq, all the way to Yemen.
So, and it's a remote pilot, so the
pilot is sitting in a command and control container at home, so to say, at his home base, very far away, and everything is done via satellite.
It's done via satellite, yes.
What? Earlier reports.
Yeah.
The Houthis had brought down one of the Reapers, and another Reaper was brought down some time back around Iranian territory. Right. So this is not the first time that a Reaper has been brought down.
On the contrary, the Houthis have shot down some 7 or 8 of them.
So what's the cost of each Reaper, MQ-9 Reaper?
I don't know exactly by heart, but it goes into about a dozen of million. When so fully equipped with all of the latest.
At least $12 to $15 million is the cost per drone. And the Houthis have downed about 8 to 9.
Command system.
Command systems, based on the command system and what it's equipped with. And that's been brought down by the Iranians. And it's big because this is sending real-time intelligence. Yep. There are multiple ways that the Israelis and the US are actually gathering intelligence by hovering over Iran. We'll show you some of those pictures also of stealth drones in a bit. But there is also what the Iranians are using. Okay, we've got the RA-01 stealth. So let's try and look at the RA-01 stealth. That was a visual. We had the pictures. We'll see if we can call out those pictures also as we put out the details about the RA-01. Can we have a look at that, please? Can we call that? After the MQ-9 Reaper, can we move to the next graphic?
Yes. Yeah. This is particularly spectacular take. This was taken over Tehran. And it's showing one of Israeli-made RA-01 UAVs. They are relatively small. They are perhaps 1.5 meters long.
Okay, so that's why difficult to spot. They look like a bird actually floating in the sky.
Exactly. And also stealth-shaped, so very hard to detect by radar. And this one, the Iranians have already shot down several. They have shot down at least 2 last June. They have already shot down 2 this year. And this is very hard to track, very hard to detect and track, and very hard to shot down. Nevertheless, it works as well. So, but the point is now the following. Such UAVs are collecting information, intelligence, for hours and hours on day. Then the next one comes in, tracks the same target and so on. They are collecting so much information. There are so many such UAVs that the Israelis and the Americans need separate aircraft carrying processors which are processing all of this information, so this can be integrated into the overall picture for the commanders on in command centers.
And what are they doing? They're hovering all over Iran.
Yes.
To watch every single move. Also, can they send real-time information when a ballistic missile is fired? The silos, the location, etc.?
They are following commanders, they are following troop movements, they are following major bases, or actually tracking major bases, and then reporting about whatever their optical systems see whatever the infrared systems can detect to the headquarters.
And what is their hang time, if I may ask, if they can stay
For
up?
this one, it is unknown, but probably, I wouldn't say less than 12 hours, so it is probably longer.
It's longer than 12 hours. So that means real-time intelligence, continuous intelligence, and by the time one is running out of battery or fuel, the other one is already up to take its place. Again, remote control from a very, very far distance and also via satellite. Now, this use of satellites to try and manage your information systems and equipment becomes very, very potent, especially for somebody like the Israelis and also the Americans, because they are past masters at it. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra?
Well, so too are the Chinese, Anand and Tom. And in fact, Chinese are sending real-time information, not while the war was on, but even before that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Chinese have been telling
To
them
Iran.
exactly the position of every ship, every missile launch station in
Right.
Israel, and every aircraft carrier that Americans have.
Yes.
Right.
This is how the Iranians have staged this, attempted to attack one of the US Navy's aircraft
Lincoln.
carriers. Almost certainly thanks to Chinese intelligence, or Chinese intelligence provided by the Chinese.
Let's now move the conversation and talk a little more about Iran. Now, how much has, oh, that's Egypt. I've come to Egypt.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the disputed Persian Gulf and of course the Strait of Hormuz. So we will talk about that at length in a bit. But viewers, let's try and understand what is the Shahed 136. The Shahed 136 yesterday in this Persian Gulf, Tom, actually downed an Emirati tanker. It was also has been used to try and destroy, as the Iranians claim, certain US air bases. Now, what are the Shahed 136? Why is it so potent and important?
It is a relatively simple flying bomb, de facto. Slowly flying, not jet propelled, except for latest versions developed in Russia. It's propelled by an engine like on a scooter. So, and it has a very good range. It can have, some variants have range of 2,000 kilometers. So it is flying slowly, between 70 and 120 kilometers per hour, which is making it hard to detect. Additionally, its shape is also stealthy, which is making it additionally hard to detect. So it is a perfect weapon for well, as we have seen, striking selected targets very deep behind the enemy lines or well away from Iran in this case. Let's say this way. The Iranian attempts to strike Israel with Shaheds were so far not that successful. Why? Because the Israelis and Americans are flying combat air patrols over Jordan. This is here, over this area, over Syria. So their fighter jets have built a sort of a wall, and they're intercepting anything, whatever UAVs are coming from Iran. Then Iranians started launching UAVs from northwest via Syria, via northern Iraq and Syria. This took the Israelis 1 or 2 times by surprise, but eventually they have closed this gap as well. So the fighters are always the first line of defense against such targets like UAVs. The second line of defense are medium-range and short-range missiles. However, they're expanding them to strike such targets or to intercept such targets like UAVs is extremely expensive. One has to keep in mind that a single Shahed costs less than $20,000, but a single missile costs well over $1 million. So therefore, both the Americans and the Israelis are trying to use other means to shut down UAVs. Foremost, these modified guided rockets. Simple, relatively small rockets, which have now they were modified to have a laser guidance. And then such aircraft like this F-15, which crashed, was actually shot down over Kuwait. Yes.
We were just putting out those visuals of the F-15. The pilot is safe. He's been moved to the US base. That's what we had, the pictures. But the F-15 was actually shot down by a Shahed 136.
No, apparently, at least that's the latest info, is that it was shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses.
Kuwaiti air defense.
Why? It was busy with shooting down UAVs streaming from Iran. So whether these UAVs went to Kuwait or to Israel is presently unclear. But while operating against them, it flew into the area protected by the Kuwaiti air defenses. And there is a foreign problem.
Friendly fire.
They do not see each other. We are talking about such ranges over which this war is fought that they do not see each other. So therefore, nominally they would have integrated and or adjusted their identification framework for IFF systems. Apparently they haven't. Therefore, Kuwaitis have opened fire and shot down the F-15E of the U.S. Air Force.
U.S. Air Force. Yes. So clearly, the F-15E, as per Tom Cooper here inside the bunker, he's saying that it was shot down by friendly Kuwaiti fire because they were trying to negate the Shahed 136. So let's try and understand via graphics why the Shahed 136 is so important, viewers. The Shahed 136 drone is Iran's low-cost kamikaze drone with long-range strike capability. So that's what it looks. It's cost just about $20,000, but it's like a bomb, flying bomb. That's what they have built it, and that's why the Russians have used this even in the Russia-Ukraine war. It's got a delta-wing loitering munition. That's what it is. It's designed for one-way attacks. It's not coming back. That's why it's called a suicide drone, kamikaze. Now, it can strike targets up to 2,500 kilometers. So the Iranians can fire low-cost loitering munition all the way up to Israel if they find that flight path. That's what Tom was also saying. And it can get away with 50 kilograms of warhead. 50 kilograms is a lot in terms of based on what is it that you packed inside the warhead to cause damage. It's used in swarms to overwhelm the air defense systems. Why? Because if I'm sending you a swarm of 250, 300 drones plus or 600 drones, your systems can only shoot down perhaps 250 or 300 of them. Even if 100 of them pass through, that's a lot of damage at the coordinate that's been keyed in, because it's 50 into 100, 5,000 kilograms of explosives landing together. That's what happens suddenly. In terms of scale, the amount of explosives that land. Also, around 185 kilometers. That's the flight speed, and of course weighs approximately 200 kilograms. So it's quite lightweight compared to a lot of other munitions.
This size, yes, but lightweight, yes, because of composite construction.
It's an MD-550 piston engine that powers it with distinct buzzing sound equipped with AI, GNSS and inertial navigation systems, rocket-assisted launch from trucks, truck-mounted rack. That means they can keep moving, shifting locations and then have their tubes all across Iran. Now, where all are these Shahed 136s placed and what is going to be Iran's strategy in this region, especially against its neighbors in the Gulf, the Persian Gulf. We will talk about this with Tom Cooper inside the bunker, along with Ambassador Rajiv Dogra and Burzin Wagmar, who's there outside, and we will catch up with him too on what next from Iran for this region and, of course, the Strait of Hormuz when we come back after a short break. Stay with us.